Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. This is such an exciting morning, and we're thrilled that you could join us. So for those of you that just saw a little bit of that video, that is our new podcast that is coming in May. It'll be led by Sean McCrory, our editor-in-chief, in our newsroom. And about every 2 weeks, we're going to be featuring different Houston leaders. And I know several of you out here in the room will be calling, asking to speak with you. So very excited about that. So now as we're going to shift to, of course, this morning's program. So this all sort of came about last year. We had our first Business of Sports, and it was on professional sports. And it was extremely well received. We loved it. In fact, I see two of our panelists, Mike and Gretchen, out here from the Texans and the Rockets. And it was really exciting. And we thought, well, if we were going to do this again next year, meaning this year, what could we do? Could we possibly even match it, or could we even top it? And what would that subject be? And we thought college sports. Everyone is so passionate about college sports, and everybody has an opinion on college sports. So I started then thinking, who would be on that panel? And I thought, gosh, if we could get the ADs from the top programs around us, that would just be a dream. And that's who we got. And I am beyond thrilled with the gentlemen that have graciously agreed to be here today and to speak to us and offer their advice. So thrilled. But then secondly, it takes sponsors to make this happen. You know, we can't do it without them. And my first call was to Huntington Bank. And I reached out to the wonderful Patty Martinez, and I said, Patty, what do you think about this? She goes, let me bring it to my team. Let me see what they think. And Huntington obviously is a big sponsor of sports and a big supporter. And, you know, they work with that little golfer known as Scotty Scheffler and represent 20, I think, other sports and athletes. And so Huntington came on board and said, yes, we're here, we'll support you, what do you need? And so thank you so much, Huntington, for all your support. I also want to say, yes, thank you, Huntington. So then I also want to say a special shout out to our silver sponsors, Greenberg Traurig Law Firm and Malden and Jenkins CPA. They also were immediately said, yes, what can we do to help? What do you need? And so thank you so much for your support. And now, if you will please join me in welcoming Ross Vaughn, Greater Houston Regional President with Huntington Bank, to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you, Tracy. Everybody hear me? Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here at the Business of Sports, surrounded by Houston's leading sports professionals, business innovators, and community champions. On behalf of Huntington Bank, I want to thank the Houston Business Journal for bringing us together and for its dedication to strengthening the ties between our region's business and sports communities. As I look around the room and think about banking and sports business, I'm reminded of how both have changed dramatically over the past few decades. Many of you, like me, are old enough to remember when a football game was just two teams going head-to-head to determine the ultimate winner. The same could be said for banking, where you might go into a stately bank building to cash a check, make a deposit, or perhaps apply for a car loan. Wow, how things have changed. They really have changed, haven't they? Now, a football game is an entertainment event, and millions of dollars are collected and spent to give the fan an experience that will keep them coming back for more. Events before and after the game, large multi-million dollar scoreboards that provide constant updates, replays, and all types of music and graphics. You still get the band at halftime, yes, but you can also get high-tech drone shows at night, and I've seen them, they're spectacular. Banking has changed tremendously too, and billions of dollars are spent annually on technology. Huntington will invest heavily in technology in 2026 as we continue to enable our customers with the best ways to conduct their banking business. Today, you can look at your bank balance on your phone whenever you wish. You can send money immediately in a variety of ways. If you receive a check, take a picture and deposit it. Oh, and if you want to borrow some money for your car purchase, that can be done at the dealership, and Huntington will probably provide the financing. Huntington Bank is a big fan of Houston and Texas. Texas represents growth, innovation, and an entrepreneurial spirit that aligns perfectly with our purpose to make people's lives better, help businesses thrive, and strengthen the communities we serve. From small businesses to large institutions, we're here to support the companies and communities that are shaping the future of this great state. We are committed to growing in Houston, building on 2 recent partnerships with institutions that have proud, long-standing legacies here, Veritex Bank and Cadence Bank. Through these combinations today, we are the 8th largest bank in the state of Texas by deposit market share. This scale means we can offer more resources, expertise, and innovative solutions to businesses and individuals across the region. This year, as we celebrate 100 years of Huntington, we're just as focused on the next chapter, continuing to grow alongside high opportunity markets like Houston. At Huntington, our guiding principle is simple. We invest in potential. We invest in the potential of teams and fan bases, the anchors of community pride and passion. We invest in collegiate competition where tradition and generations of pride fuel excellence. We invest in emerging talent, the next generation of global champions. We invest in organizations that exemplify our can-do attitude, service heart, and forward thinking, and in people who look out for people. We invest in moments that unite communities in common purpose and amplify our collective impact, and in the potential of local businesses, the heartbeat of thriving communities. We invest with persistence, allowing meaningful change, the time to take root. Our role in the sports community is central to how we show up. Through partnerships in golf, professional sports, and collegiate athletics, we build relationships that extend far beyond the field. As an example of that, in Houston, that commitment comes to life through our partnership with the Houston Astros. An organization, I know they're in a little bit of a slump, but bear with me. An organization that embodies the heart, resilience, and pride of this city. It's a relationship grounded in shared values and a belief in bringing people together through experiences that matter. Our sponsorship of today's event is more than a branding opportunity. It's a reflection of our commitment to Houston's vibrant sports economy and the businesses that drive its success. We recognize the unique power of sports to unite, inspire, and fuel economic growth. That's why Huntington Bank has expanded its sports partnerships, including our collaboration with the PGA Tour University. As the official sponsor, we're investing in the next generation of golf talent and reinforcing our reputation as a trusted financial partner within the game. And we recently announced a partnership with Scottie Scheffler, the #1 golfer in the world. Scheffler will serve as the bank's lead golf ambassador as Huntington expands its sports-led community engagement and increases its investment in the sport. Golf requires discipline, preparation, focus, routine, and determination. Huntington amplifies those same principles to how it serves customers and communities across a growing footprint. Together, we're on a meaningful journey powered by a shared commitment to community. As your partner, Huntington champions opportunities for young athletes, fuels their dreams, and builds relationships that extend far beyond the field. We know that sports requires discipline, preparation, focus, routine, and determination, and we apply those same principles how we serve customers every day. What sets Huntington apart is our unwavering focus on relationships. For 160 years, we've been guided by a clear purpose, and that purpose has endured across generations and continues to shape how we operate today. As we continue to grow in Houston, we invite you to consider Huntington Bank as your partner in progress. Let's work together, invest in the potential of our teams, our businesses, and our community. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your commitment to making Houston a national leader in sports and business. We look forward to building a winning future together. Thank you, and hook 'em.
Thank you so much, Ross, for that insight. Truly appreciate it. And now you're going to see on the screen a one-question survey from Huntington Bank. So if you have a few moments, just scan the QR code and submit your response. Huntington would love your opinion. Before we move forward, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank all the sponsors who've helped make today's event possible. Huntington Bank, of course, is our presenting, our silver sponsors, Greenberg Traurig and Malden and Jenkins, as well as our contributing sponsor, Republic Boots, who put together some beautiful leather bags for our panelists, as well as like to thank our event partners, Prime, System, and Populous. And of course, our media partner, KHOU 11, for their continued support. In fact, KHOU is going to be streaming the conversation today, and you'll see it either possibly later this afternoon, but definitely this week. So stay tuned for that. So please join me in thanking all of our sponsors, if you would, please. So please be sure and partner with us on social media by using hashtag HBJ Business of Sports, and be sure to tag the Houston Business Journal on LinkedIn and Instagram. Now, if you'll please join me in welcoming Doug Moses, partner and CPA with Malden and Jenkins, to the stage to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Doug Moses. I'm a partner with Malden and Jenkins CPAs and Advisors, and we're very happy to be here today and to be a proud sponsor of today's event, and looking forward to hearing from our panel. Malden and Jenkins is a top 100 national firm with 19 offices in 8 states, and recently expanded our presence here in Texas as well as in Louisiana. We provide auditing, tax, advisory, and consulting services. So we provide a lot of services, and we serve a lot of industries, including the NIL industry. When you think about these young student athletes coming out of high school and college, it's a great opportunity for them. When you think about the NIL deals and the contracts that they're receiving, but it can be very overwhelming. With all the complexities, the tax implications, and things of that nature, even for a seasoned professional, it's tough. But that's when we come into the room as trusted advisors to be there for these athletes to help them navigate through that space. We provide strategic tax planning, of course, individual and business tax return preparation, helping them get the right legal entity created, whether it should be an S Corp or an LLC, financial literacy coaching and mentoring on a monthly or quarterly basis. We also provide wealth management services beyond just managing their investments, but helping them put together a financial roadmap based on their long-term goals, putting together a financial plan which incorporates risk management, as well as putting together an annual budget for them and kind of holding them accountable. Those are some of the services that we provide, including like bookkeeping services, payroll processing, fractured CFO services, things of that nature. So again, we're happy to be here. We can definitely be a resource to the coaches and athletic directors at the colleges and universities, and definitely here to serve the student athletes and their families so that they can be successful beyond their college years and create some type of legacy or create generational wealth. That's what it's all about, the success of these student athletes as they navigate through this space. But again, happy to be here, looking forward to hearing from our panel, and again, appreciate it.
So as we move into the panel, we would like to invite you to be part of the conversation. You're going to see a number on the screen where you can submit your questions to the panelists. So simply text your question along with your name and company. We're going to collect those throughout the discussion and save them for a dedicated Q&A at the conclusion of the panel. We're also going to bring the number back on the screen during the panel as a reminder. But please know we're not going to have time for all of them, so we'll try and get to 2 or 3 at the very end. And now our final speaker, our final silver sponsor, brings deep expertise across business and legal strategy. Please welcome Frank Jones, shareholder from Greenberg Traurig.
Thank you for your patience. My son this weekend, who's not very sympathetic to his father's plight, told me that my pimp walk needed a little work. Good morning. My name is Frank Jones. I'm a shareholder at Greenberg Traurig and one of the co-chairs of our sports business practice. But more importantly, I'm a proud alum of Rice University, class of 1984. So go Owls. And I would be remiss to not mention that after very respectful discussion last night with Director Nunez, I am also a proud alum of the University of Houston Law Center, class of 1995. So on behalf of Greenberg Traurig, thank you to the Houston Business Journal for bringing us all together with this exceptional group of leaders for today's conversation. And I want to thank everybody for joining us for the Business of Sports 2026. Today's panel highlights something we've been seeing firsthand across the country. When college athletics are strategically governed, they fuel innovation, strengthen local economies, and create lasting institutional value. Members of the GT team, many of whom are here today, and I'd like you guys to stand and be recognized, Gabe and Yugal. We've been fortunate enough to work with many of the colleges, teams, and athletic departments that are driving force behind the evolving modern face of collegiate athletics. Colleges and universities today are not just athletic brands, but they are major business enterprises, economic engines, real estate developers, and always stewards of the public trust. The leaders forming our panel today are at the forefront of the key issues shaping this moment in sports: realignment, NIL, media and sponsorship strategy, and financing and development of athletic facilities that anchor communities and drive long-term growth. We are proud to sponsor this important dialogue as a silver sponsor, and we look forward for the insights from this group of brilliant panelists on how college sports continue to shape the business of Texas and beyond. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Thank you so much, Frank. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the conversation you've all been waiting for. We are so fortunate to have these group of leaders here today who are shaping the future of college athletics. So now I'd like to first introduce Chandler France. He is our sports and finance reporter with the Houston Business Journal. Chandler will be our moderator and leading the discussion. He, of course, covers sports, business, and economic development for the Houston Business Journal. And next up, I'm going to bring up all the panelists. Verge Osbury. He is Director of Athletics at Louisiana State University. Mike Buddy, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at Texas Christian University. Chris Del Conte, Vice President and Lois and Richard Folger Athletics Director at the University of Texas. Tommy McClellan, Vice President and Director of Athletics at Rice University. Taylor McGillis, Executive Associate Athletic Director for External Relations and Revenue Generation at Texas A&M, and Eddie Nunez, Vice President for Athletics at the University of Houston. Please join me in welcoming these incredible panelists. Okay, Chandler, it's all you now.
Awesome. Can y'all hear me? Yep. Cool. So thank you, Tracy, and thank you all for being here this morning. As you can see, everybody's in their school colors. I should have worn my cardinal gold. I'm a USC grad. That's University of Southern California, not South Carolina, as some in Texas have implied. Fight on, fight on. There we go. Before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you have a question for our panel, you can text it to the number on the screen along with your name and your company. We'll save those for the Q&A at the end. Before we jump in, I want to just say thank you again to each of you for being here. This is an incredible group, and we're excited to learn from you all today. So when you think about college athletics, right, you think about the popularity of it. You think about 100,000 fans in Death Valley. You think about the Fertitta Center filled up for men's basketball. College athletics drives money and business into the local economy. So what kind of impact does college athletics have on the local communities where your universities are located? And how do college sports drive money into local businesses? I'll start here with Verge, and we'll end over there with Eddie.
You know, Chandler, that's a great question. And just last week, there was an article that came out in the Baton Rouge paper about how many flights that's coming into Baton Rouge for games. Delta has added about 15 flights for all of the games that's coming into Baton Rouge. LSU is about a $700 million investment to the Baton Rouge economy. When we're playing there, to the state, it's about $1 billion. I always tell people, part of my background is governmental relations. If that was a company coming into the state of Louisiana, you would have a press conference every week. So it really drives the economy. We employ about, all of us, but we employ about 3,500 people for LSU football game. And we have about 3 million visitors to LSU events. So to that economy, to the hotels, to the restaurants, to the business community, LSU football is very important.
Well, I'll just add, and I love that I'm strategically between Texas and LSU, just to keep things a little perspective, keep things fair. You know, in addition to what Verge mentioned, obviously you want that town and gown relationship through commerce, through partnerships, through relationships. And what we are all finding now is the athletics efforts, not just heads in beds and restaurants and bars on game days, but how do you expand that well beyond game days? We all have these amazing facilities that were probably underutilized, and that's one of the unintended consequences of this NIL era is we're all trying to figure out how do you utilize our basketball arenas, our football stadiums, even more often than just 6 or 7 Saturdays in the fall. Which obviously also has a huge impact economically on the city. And so there's that symbiotic relationship where the more commerce we can bring to town, the more successful they are. And then we also want them to look at our student athletes as potential ambassadors in this new reality that we live in too. So it was a win-win, and now it's kind of a win-win-win-win-win, the more tightly knit relationships you can develop.
Are we all answering the same question?
Yes, sir.
That's ridiculous. Hi, everybody. We're just going to continue to add on that for a moment. I have a unique perspective on this particular question because I was the athletic director at Rice in 2006 for 4 years. When I got hired at Rice, and the esteemed Bucky Allsauce is here as the individual that was directly responsible for me being hired at Rice and was a board of trustee at that time. When I got to Rice, they were trying to drop intercollegiate athletics. They had a referendum called the McKinsey Report. They were dropping athletics at Rice. The incoming president thought that that athletics were going to be gone by the time he got there. So when I got interviewed, they asked me if I read the McKinsey Report, and I looked over and said, I don't even know what the hell that report's all about. Everyone else were prepared for that report. And we said, no, this is the value of intercollegiate athletics. This is what it brings to the institution. It is the rallying cry. It's a front porch to welcome people into their institution. That particular year, the first time we went to a bowl game in 50 years. I was flying back with the professor, and he leans over and he goes, 50 years ago, I was at Rice, and I was a freshman. It's the last time we've been to a bowl game. I'm dying of pancreatic cancer. All is right in the world as Rice went to a bowl game. 22,000 people were at that game in Louisiana, the RLT Carrier Bowl. Isn't that right, Bucky? We got smoked. But I tell you right now, we had a rallying cry, the largest alumni base ever, and it was unbelievable. And that rallying cry said, this is what the value of sport. It brings this community together. Next thing, I go to Texas Christian U, where Mike is doing an amazing job, and Tommy's just absolutely killing it at Rice. But at Rice, we at TCU, we're getting ready to go to a bowl game, the Rose Bowl. Average SAT was 920 for the athletic department, 980 for the university. We go to that bowl game, the next year admissions went from 4,000 to 22,000. Average SAT score went to 1280. All of a sudden, Harvard came in and said, they do a Fulbright study there, and they said, this only happened twice, a phenomenon. Once in Duke in '84, Texas Christian U in 2011. There's a value of sport. It is the front porch. It's a marketing tool for the institution. It brings people together. We can talk about all the economics because every one of us know the economics of that. But let's not lose sight that we're educating young people to get a degree, to come in years from now and be you. I grew up in a children's home. Sport was my out. It gave me the greatest opportunities ever because it changed my life and paradigm of so many of us through sport. But their economic impact is critical. Now I come to the University of Texas. It's wild, right? We drive an engine. You come to Texas because you're the straw that stirs the drink. But each and every one of these schools, it stirs the drink as well, locally. But what you bring to a school is our culture, our fight song, our colors, and it's a rallying cry for an institution to say this is who we are. And there's none better job than doing that at Rice and Tommy, who now this institution was on the brink of dropping sport to all of a sudden major investments, and you see the job he's doing. The job that Buddy's doing at TCU is unbelievable. But the economic impact is felt more academically than you think and more on that campus. We should never lose sight of that. Comprende on that deal? All right.
Good on my end.
Tommy, good luck.
I mean, first of all, I don't know who was in charge of putting the alignment here, but I'm stuck here between the Lone Star Showdown, and then I got to go after you.
I understand.
I mean, good Lord. Well, but to that point, again, you have to think about the jobs that we have. Really, everyone's got it's like a relay race, right? You came in, you got the baton at Rice, and you ran a race. In the battle you fight, I no longer have to fight. But then there's a different race. Now the batons come to me. And so what is that? And for us, as we think about the economic impact and what does athletics do, you mentioned that we're making this investment into Rice Stadium. Rice Stadium built in 1950, not fundamentally changed since then. If you look at pictures from JFK, that press box looks the exact same. And by the way, you know this, but there's no greater experience than walking in that back hallway on that press box because you have to get sideways and cross each other that way.
Hey, we had a banner. Where's Pade? He's here. We had to put a banner in the back because there was a crack in it. If you could see outside, you don't think it was going to fall backwards.
Yes.
Yeah. We put a banner, Rice Owls.
So nonetheless, you're fighting the battle for existence. And now we've got a situation where we've got a great board, our board chairman here, Rob Ladd, and our great president, Reggie DeRoche, now understand that it's not that athletics is the priority, but at a place like Rice, where you literally are part of sending people to the moon, that if you put your head and your mind to something, you can do great things. And so as we think about our stadium, our stadium has to be, and I think Mike mentioned this earlier, but it's not that we're investing in improving our football stadium. We're improving a community stadium in which our football team is the primary tenant. And then how do we create revenue that exists 360 days a year throughout the year? And then we have this asset called Rice Village. Everyone else in the country is trying to figure out how to build their Rice Village. You look at the things that Wake Forest and Iowa State and Kansas and other people are adding these entertainment areas. We already have it. So where our board has kind of gotten behind this project is let's invest in Rice Village, let's invest in the stadium, and let's link those two things together. And we can create a microeconomy with events. So that's kind of the full circle moment from you fighting what you had to fight, and then as we've progressed now to where we're moving forward, because sports is a draw and a factor in our society.
Well, College Station is the smallest town up here on this panel, so I'll take it a slightly different direction. Our town effectively doubles in size when we have a home football game at Kyle Field. So what we've tried to do this year and in coming years is how do we recreate home football game type weekends outside of those 6 or 7 games a year. So a few weeks from now, we're hosting the Savannah Bananas at Kyle Field, and it's going to be the largest banana ball game in history. We're going to have over 96,000 people there. A month after that, we're going to be hosting Argentina versus Honduras in a lead up to the World Cup match. So what that does for our community is, it's another $4 million weekend for hotels and who knows in restaurants. So the more that we can create those type of phenomenal weekends in addition to the fall, that's a huge bonus to the Bryan College Station community.
Do I still have to answer this? I think everybody's heard. I think that the unique thing about the University of Houston and is to, Mike, Buddy could speak a little bit about this as well, and of course Tommy, but we have the opportunity to maximize our resources in a city like Houston. And when you think about all the business and the impact of college athletics that it has on this community, there is individuals in this room that are a member of, graduated from one of these institutions or some of those other ones here in the state we don't talk about that are not here. But the impact is we work really well with the professional organizations in town. So that's another component that we have to take into. So when you think about the impact of not just college athletics, but athletics as a whole in society and in our cities, it doesn't matter if you're in a small city or in a big one. The impact is there. You just got to maximize and take advantage of it. So it's a little bit different in our place, but we do what we can.
Awesome. I want to toss this one to the whole panel as well. We'll start with you, Eddie, and then work our way down.
Here we go. Yeah, now you wait, Verge. Wait till you see how long this is. Wait, because Chris is going to take like 3 minutes.
I hired Eddie.
I'm just going to clean you up. I'm just going to help you out there, Bev.
My young boy, yeah.
We all know college athletics has changed, and I think everybody here in this room probably has an opinion on those changes. Relaxed transfer portal rules, the introduction of name, image, and likeness benefits, conference realignment, the new revenue sharing model. How has this fundamentally changed how you do your jobs as athletic administrators?
Well, I think everybody that spoke earlier kind of mentioned it. The world that we live in today is very different than the one we all kind of came through in this industry. We have to be agile like everyone else because it is constantly changing on us. The one thing we are looking for is some direction, because as much as we all want to succeed and want to continue, but we want to do it the right way, with the transfer portal and everything else, it keeps us all really busy with the unknown. Now, it's hard. It really is. When you think about if a kid is going in the portal, the people who are leading those conversations when it comes to the dollars and cents, the NIL, it's not market value. It's based on an agent or an attorney or somebody who figures out that this is what that wealth or that cost should be for that individual. And when you think about all that, we're still trying to make an impact on these young men and women and trying to give them an opportunity to not just have a degree or have an opportunity to graduate from our institution, but succeed at the highest level. So that makes it hard for us right now. Because we're still navigating, but it's what we got into, and we love it. I mean, I know I think if you ask everyone here, we do this because we love to be able to provide value to the student athletes, but it is a challenge. And so it's something we continue to look for answers, but until that happens, we have to compete. And so that means we have to do everything we can to compete at the highest level.
When I think about how the job has changed, and I'm not in the big chair like these guys are, but in the CRO, CMO type role, I think it's every aspect of our business is being commercialized, and I don't think that was the case even 5 years ago. That the way we look at seating in our stadiums and look at productizing every fan experience that occurs, you look at how we unbundle every piece of content that we can to sell it potentially in a different way than we are now. So when I think about the things that used to potentially be sacred, maybe standing next to the team as they run out of the tunnel, we're going to create a program next year at Texas A&M where fans are going to have the opportunity to pay to have some of those great experiences that they've never had before. So when I think about what has changed the most, it's just looking at every square footage of our facilities and seeing how we maximize that space. A lot of our teams have practice facilities now, and how do we put donor events on in there? And certainly, like I alluded to, the major events at our facilities are critical. So the overall commercialization of the enterprise has drastically changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah, so I would say you ask what has fundamentally changed. So the fundamentals have not changed. We're educating. They have to be enrolled in your institution in order to compete. So they're going. Hopefully, they're going to class at Texas. They're going to class at Rice. I'm just getting you back. So, education.
Thank you, Tommy.
Have you lost your dang mind?
Education, fundamentals. Education, the pursuit of athletics, and for us, the opportunity to develop the next generation of leaders. Okay, and we have that opportunity. What I tell our coaches all the time is, what used to be a 4-year curriculum, you used to think of those things as, I have this class, I'm going to develop them, and we have this 4-year curriculum. now may be a one-year curriculum. But if you do it well and you're focused on those things, you stand the best chance to move to the next level. Now, how do we deliver the fundamentals has drastically changed. You know, the NIL, the transfer portal, all those things are the peripheral. That it is completely, I was an athletic director in 2006 at McNeese and then at Louisiana Tech. And then I left for 3 years, and when I came back, it's like I entered a different world. It has drastically changed. But the fundamentals have not changed. The pursuit of education, the desire to get better in your craft, and the idea that we have a chance to influence young people.
He was 26 when he was the 80 at McNeese. They called him Doogie Howser.
25.
25, excuse me. That's unbelievable. Can you imagine? You know, what's interesting about where we're at, though, is a lot of things have changed, and I'm going to paint a picture for a moment. We had a governance structure that we knew. It's called the NC2A. All of us here, we wrote the rules. The NC2A is just a governing body. We wrote the rules. They help enforce those rules. We broke the rules. Then we lawyered up to fight the rules that we wrote. That's exactly what's transpired. So all of a sudden, you're sitting in a place today that we have no governance structure. There's 39 different state laws right now governing the NC2A. A kid may be in school 5 years, sue to play a 6th year. The NC2A says no, and a local judge says, yeah, that boy can play. And he gets to play the following year. Right now, we're asking the federal government for a narrow antitrust exemption is to just allow us to govern ourselves with the rules we have on the books. Every kid has an agent today. Every kid has an agent, no matter the sport. All of a sudden now, hey, I want to come to this school. They transfer this school. They transfer that school. It is a wild, wild west. You thought the early 80s at the Southwest Conference were tame. It is bananas now, guys. That's child's play, right? It is complete child's play to what is taking place now. And it's because we have no governance structure. We can't govern ourselves. And that's a real, real problem. That's what's fundamentally changed, because the issues are not NIL, not those ideas of what could happen, but how do we govern ourselves? We have no ability to enforce the rules we have on the books. And can you imagine being in a state that has 39 different state laws? Like, we are not allowed to provide high school NIL to high school kids in the state of Texas. Other schools, you can pay the kid in high school as long as they go to that institution. Missouri has a state law that's completely different. Southern California has a law that's completely different. Georgia has a law that's completely different. So we have no governance structure. That's really that's the real threat to intercollegiate athletics. That's the real threat, not what is taking place right now. And we need the SCORE Act to pass, but it's tied in politics right now. And I don't know if that's going to pass, so I think you're going to continue to see the erosion of this enterprise that we all love until we get structure around that.
So we all got into this. You want rules and a referee, and we're lacking a little bit of both. And you know, you're listening to Taylor as a chief revenue officer talking about unbundling all these things. You want to couple the fact that we are institutions of higher learning, but we're also competitive as hell. And so whether you've got a $50 million budget or a $400 million budget, it's not enough to do what you want to do. And at the core of who we hire as coaches, their job is to educate. And it's a lot easier to educate someone over a 4-year window, taking them from being a young man or woman to a grown-up than it is over 7 months. And so we need to balance the need for building a roster, and it's madness during the transfer portal when you're trying to build a roster. You don't want to over-commercialize your institution, but I will say that this segment is brought to you by Nike.
Nice.
Elliot Hill,
See those beauties.
CEO of Nike, proud Horned Frog alum.
Did you wear those when you were at TCU?
No, I always wore boots.
Yeah.
Proud sponsor of boots.
So one last thing about the transfer portal. Once you've built your rosters, then it's kind of business as usual. Yes, we're processing revenue share payments and stewarding name, image, and likeness deals, but these are still young people who need accountability. And what I don't like is, and we won't know about the stats for another 10 years, but young people going to 4 different schools in 4 years robs them of the experience that most of us had, which is making lifelong friends, spouses, over a 4-year window growing up. But we as leaders can't tell a young person, hey, we don't think you should transfer to school A, B, or C, because that's stifling their ability to earn and maximize their experience. But as a parent, I would think, man, maybe it's not worth an extra $75,000 to leave the place where you've built relationships and put sweat equity into it. And I think, when these young people turn 40 and 50, they might look back and say, man, I should have stuck it out and fought through, maybe earned a little bit less on the front end to develop those relationships. But again, that's just the reality in which we find ourselves.
You talk about how we got here, and everything they talked about earlier was correct. But let's go back and see, how do we get to this point? We lost public perception. And we lost public perception because we started paying coaches a lot of money. I remember when there was a coach hired at Texas A&M by the name of Jimbo Fisher. There was a bill out there, and every presidential platform had it where you used to get 80% tax deduction on your seats, the seat licensing program. And all of them were pulling that away out of the tax code. And I called, at that time, Majority Leader Scalise and said, look, we need your help. He was on Ways and Means. We had 2 senators, 3 senators working, getting that for us back into place. And, Coach got paid $7.5 million for 10 years. And that changed everything. And we continually started losing public perception. The public started looking at us as, okay, you're paying these coaches all this money. And you remember, the House case, it was about what? Name, image, and likeness. So we would tell a young man, you could play at an institution, you could play at a school, you could sell your jersey, you could sell everything about you. You don't get anything off of it. We're the only organization on earth, the NCAA, and Chris is right, they manage all of us, that lost in the U.S. Supreme Court 9-0. Nobody loses in the U.S. Supreme Court 9-0 on nothing, okay? But us. We're those guys who lose 9-0. So we lost public perception. And so it went on and on and on. We started losing that and started losing bits of it. And what we did, you remember university structures, how they set up. Most presidents and chancellors come from where? They come from the faculty, then they become a dean, then they become a provost, then they become the president or chancellor. They had no idea what was going on their campus and who we were recruiting. Same thing with a lot of athletic directors who never played the sport, never understood the sport. They never knew who they were recruiting and bringing on their campus. And they never knew the distance that we were driving between the student athletes and the administration university setting. So that's how we got to this point right now. And people, public perception, we didn't do a good job at our institutions of telling our story. What do we do for student athletes? We don't talk about financial aid and scholarships that we give them, that they don't pay for anything. They don't pay for books. They don't pay for their dorm. They don't pay for meals. We talk about the medical care we give each one of them, LASIK eye surgery, braces, all the different things we do. We never told our story. The training and everything they get, the athletes at our institutions, we never told it. So we were sitting there like, oh, everybody, we just big college sports and just enjoy it and just come to the game, get your scholarship. And we started doing eroding, not pretty much the people in this room, but eroding the confidence of the everyday person that saw guys getting paid, especially on these big buyouts we're doing. And look, we were guilty of it at LSU also, okay? These big buyouts.
This is a rich conversation here.
And this guy can't talk, but he's going to pick on me.
I was about to say. Hey, Eddie, you see your
one guy can't talk.
Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good down here. Eddie, don't say anything. I heard a long time ago. So, but we lost that public perception, people, and that's where we were. And so the average person out there who has a normal 9-to-5 job is like, these coaches are getting paid all these money and the athletes not getting paid anything. And not realizing what we were putting into every athlete. And we lost that. And that's why we got to where we are today.
Said Eddie, don't say nothing, I hired you.
Just a reminder, if you have a question, please feel free to text the number up there.
What are the positive responses?
I want to toss this one to the SEC folks up here, so Verge, Chris, and Taylor down there. Some might say the SEC is the most competitive league in all of college sports, and so what's your strategy to remain competitive in terms of fundraising, recruiting, and on the field in this new environment?
I think it starts with leadership alignment. I really do. And when I think about the schools that are going to be successful 5, 10, 15 years from now, I think we're at a critical moment where the universities who have alignment from their board level, chancellor level, president level, AD level, and with their football head coach, are already in a superior position to a lot of other programs. I think for us at Texas A&M, it comes down to continue to build the brand. Obviously we want to maximize our revenue opportunity right now, but how do we maximize it? What do we do now to maximize it over the next 5, 10, 15 years? The next round of TV rights, little things now that we can do to make sure we maximize that, but also protecting that. We value and protect Texas A&M and the 12th man with everything we've got. So I think for us, it's those two things, valuing the brand and growing the immediate and long-term revenue potential for us.
What was the question again?
How do you remain competitive in terms of fundraising, recruiting, and on the field in this new environment?
Fundraising, recruiting?
Fundraising and recruiting, yes.
Well, I think the key question he just said was alignment. When I came to the University of Texas, previously we had 4 presidents, 4 ADs, 5 football coaches. We were not aligned. And we've all been through that. When you're not aligned, it is a real struggle. And once you get alignment, and we always say at the university, a united Texas is a reckoning. When you're aligned, you can do great things. For us, we were in the Big 12 at the University of Texas and loved it, but I saw change coming. And we saw what was happening with the valuation of television contracts, who you play mattered. Verge brought it up when they took away the tax deduction. It becomes an entertainment spend. That entertainment dollar then is critical to you, so who you play on Saturdays really matter. And how you go about maximizing those efforts. But fundamentally, it starts with people. You got to have great people and great coaches that love their program and are great. If you don't have a great coach, you're constantly making changes. If you have a great coach that gets it, develops people, puts people in the league, people come and want to watch, you're winning at the highest level, that's where it is. And you can be completely great, but if you have a bum of a coach, it doesn't work. All right, you all know it. You guys all in this room put a lot of, I'm running an enterprise based on people's passion. Rational people become irrational when it comes to their passion. Let that marinate. Whatever you're truly you're passionate about, you or your spouse, you come home one day and go, you've lost your damn mind. They're passionate about that. That's exactly what we're running. So we're running an enterprise based on passion. Passionate coaches, passionate students, alumni, donors, fans, the state. And when they lose their mind, you're making changes. When you're winning, everyone loves a winner. And that's the key part. How do you do that? We want to all be around winners. So you got to hire great coaches. Give them all the tools necessary to be successful. Stay out of their way. And if they win, we all win. But if they don't, we're all out. That's simple as that.
That word that I used, especially when I hired Coach Kiffin, I walk into the building, and he's right about the coaches. And you look at your building where athletes are playing and where events are taking place. Woody Hayes said that the worst word is apathy. And you have apathy set into your program, you have to be careful. We have to watch that as a conference, not as SEC also. If you look what's happening, we are in competition with the Big Ten. And the Big Ten has won 3 of the last national championships in football. They won the basketball national championship this year, and they won the women's basketball championship this year. And currently they're number 1 in baseball, UCLA in the country right now in the Big Ten. So that battle will continue, and we have to be able to, what we talk about is alignment is important. If your board and your president or chancellor are not in line with you and the coaches, you're gonna have problems. And that's what we are trying to work on and keep that alignment through the LSU system. And a lot of times there's conversations about the cost of this and where we're going. And as a conference, what we got in place to help all of us was we're one. The difference with all of us is we all sit up here and we are all different conferences, different teams, different programs. Where the pro sports, when you look at the NFL, the NBA, and baseball, they're linear, they're one. The NFL, they fight each other on Sundays and Mondays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're one. Saturdays, they're one. So that's where we got to decide where we're going to be as a conference, and Chris, and we've had those conversations with our commissioner of how this is going to look in the future and where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll toss this one to Eddie, Tommy, and Mike. What keeps you up at night in this ever-evolving landscape? What's not getting enough attention, and what other changes could we see here soon?
Go for it, Tom. What keeps me up at night? Restless legs. So right, Chris alluded to it, it's passion. And so, in my previous life, I played for the New York Yankees, and there's a reason that the Yankees and the Dodgers are in the playoffs almost every year. Our job is to figure out, every once in a while, Minnesota and Milwaukee and Cleveland build something special and can compete for a championship. And so I think from the Big 12's perspective, we were relieved when Texas and Oklahoma were able to find a landing spot when we pushed them out of the league. But what we have tried to do is build a sustainable practice. The smart thing to do if you're a coach right now is watch Rice and watch Houston and watch TCU play and say, which one of those players do we want to take to come play for us? But I still believe, and I think we have a stable of coaches who believe through cohesion and chemistry and discipline and shared suffering that brings you just an exceptional result. You can still build that. And so we try to recruit high school kids and then sprinkle in some transfers and hope that you can find that magic formula. So, 9 wins is good. We had a great win over a team in a bowl game, Southern Cal. But 9 wins isn't enough, right? Dabo Swinney had a great quote, or I'll paraphrase, but the NFL is built with 30 plus teams for 16 playoff spots. We have 130 plus teams for currently 12 playoff spots, probably 16. And so a lot of human nature is once you've lost your second game, season's over. And that's a shame because there's a lot of young people who are invested in trying to win and fight through and continue to compete and win football games. And so, we've got to fix this system. That keeps me up at night. We have to still fight for education. I alluded to this earlier. These kids are going to wake up at 30 and realize they didn't get enough credits through their 4 different institutions to actually have a degree that would change their lives in a positive way. In terms of what changes are to come, I'll let maybe the other two address that. I'll shut up now.
Chandler, it was what keeps you up at night and what's not getting enough attention?
Yep. That's right.
What keeps me up is just the constant change. I think, again, we talk about the old days of the NC2A and there would be a legislative process, and so some big item out there. It was like something in the horizon that you could plan for, you begin to build for it, plan for it. Now, literally, I open up my phone in the mornings and I'm like, okay, what email is going to hit that the universe has changed? And then how am I going to have to go into a staff meeting, or how am I going to have to go in and kind of pivot from maybe what and communicate to a board or to your campus leadership? So that the rapid change keeps me up in ensuring that the plan that we have can be continued even with the kind of stimulating change that occurs. What I think is not getting enough attention, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about the transfer portal and the cap or these type of items, but I think that part of the issue is the lack of agent registry. We have these student athletes, Chris mentioned it, every student athlete has an agent. When you hear that, you think professional. You think, oh, it's an agent. Well, it may be the uncle that was at Thanksgiving who had too much to drink and was like, hell, I can get you more money. Am I wrong?
You ain't wrong.
And by the way, the other thing is that the data is suggesting that the agents are getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to maybe 40%. In the NFL, Mike Tolman is here. I think an agent is capped at how much they can make on representing players. Maybe it's 3, 4, 5%. And that's generally the coaches that we deal with. Their agents are somewhere in the neighborhood of 3, 4, 5%. In the agencies, maybe not Jimmy, but you keep hiring his coaches, so that's your issue. But if an agent is making, say, let's just call it 25%, and the kid's making $100,000 at Rice, and they have an opportunity to go to, I don't know, somebody's asking them to help pay $200,000 to go to New Mexico.
You heard Buddy, he's going to take them. He said, I'm going to watch our players, he's going to take them.
He said, you were going to take our players. Buddy's not going to take it. Buddy's a stand-up guy.
Leave me out of that.
That's ridiculous.
But if I'm making 25% and I can gross you up to 100, I'm making $25,000 on that extra. I'm kind of forcing you into the portal. Whereas if I'm only really getting, even call it 5%, it's somewhat nominal, and then just like, hey, Johnny, where do you want to go? Do you want to get a degree from Rice, or you want to go to New Mexico for an extra 100? Well, I kind of want to be at Rice. Okay, well then let me go get the maximum deal at Rice. And I think that's part of the issue that's not really being addressed as much as the lack of transparency and registry on agents.
Why did you have to refer to New Mexico? I'm just wondering. Having spent some
Well, you
time
weren't there,
Oh,
you know.
okay,
I mean,
so it's somebody else.
Yeah, it's old times.
Old times. What keeps me up, I would still say, and I think it probably keeps us all up at times, is we're still dealing with 17 to 22, 23, 24-year-olds now. They keep going, but there are still kids in a lot of ways, and many of us are dealing with 400 plus of those, and understanding what they're doing every night, and you know, it still crosses your mind. So I'm going to guess that everybody here at some point or another, their phone never turns off at night. So you got to keep that. When it comes to this industry, though, it is what they've talked about: the changes, the unknowns, the transfer, the agents, all that is part of. It just keeps going through our minds. But for me, for this business at the University of Houston, it's what can we do more? What can I figure out needs more attention? It's how do we keep building our brand? And I know this is different than what they've talked about, but in the city that has so many opportunities and everything is possible, how do I keep putting our brand and our presence out there? And so it's trying to figure out what that next opportunity is, because this NIL space has to be unique. It is different, and what can we do to bring it to the table? So for me, that's what I'm constantly thinking about, is how we can make our institution, our university, our athletic department better. So it's a little bit of what's been discussed, of course, but more than anything else, how we can focus on our needs.
You all touched on challenges in the current environment, and Mike, you talked about fixing the system. I'm curious to hear about how you all would fix the system. What's one rule or structural change that you would make tomorrow if you could? And I'll open it up to all of you.
For me, it's 1A, 1B. It's transfers, some type of regulation on transfers and or cap. I think you could argue if you had a true cap, that would curtail the amount of transfers, because then the money would at some point be managed. If you told people they could only transfer one time and then had to sit out, then that would probably have an impact on the amount of spend. That's the two things or the one thing that I would say we're focused on. And it goes back to Chris's point. I mean, we've got to be able to get support from Congress or whomever in order to do these things, because right now they're all just concepts and ideas, and even what I said has a hole in it. But we need to take a step in the right direction in order to create some stability and then guardrails so that we can govern ourselves.
Yeah, Chris said it earlier with the unknown of every state taking it upon themselves to do what they're doing provides uncertainty for all of us. And so having some structure within that is I think one of the biggest, well, it's probably the most important thing, but at the end of the day, the transfer and all these other things that we're talking about, I am a big believer if we can have a better system when it comes to the agents. That to me is one that touches so many different parts, and right now it's becoming more of a nuisance than anything else.
I think limiting also the 5 years to play, I think that'll help. You know, you have a lot of older guys out there. You know, you look at Indiana's football team this year, like the average age like 24. Mm-hmm. You look at Auburn's basketball team a few years ago, all the 5 starters on that team was all older than Oklahoma Thunder, who won the NBA championship. Mm-hmm. No, seriously, every one of them were older. All 5 was older. So you have these guys playing 24, 25 and playing so many multiple years off the COVID years and those type of things, trying to get that under control where, you have 5 years to play. Mm-hmm. It makes a difference. The NFL came out this week talking about how many older guys in the draft. And that really changes their way of drafting too. And also really it's hurting a lot of high school kids. People don't realize this. There's less kids getting signed from high schools because of all the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. So every year we see those numbers from national letter of intent, so it used to be coming from high school, dropping every year because so many kids are in the portal. And we don't talk about the bad parts of the portal also. A lot of these kids get in the portal and don't get picked up. Mm. And that's what, we don't talk about, we talk about the portal like it's a great thing. It's not all great. About 50-some% of the kids don't get picked up that get in the portal.
I would throw transparency out if I could do one thing. I mean, part of our challenge is there's no market. We all know how much Aaron Judge is getting paid. And so if I have a point guard or a quarterback, and we're going to give them $2 million, and the agent says, well, LSU's offered him 2.2 and Texas has offered him 2.4. I can call Verge and Chris and ask, and they're going to say, I don't know anything about it, which is exactly what my answer would be. And our coach can call their coach and say, hey, did you really offer this? They'll say, I don't know anything about it, because that's what their answer should be. But there's no transparency. We have no idea. So who's driving all of that? The agent. They can be making it up. We got 6 calls from 6 different people saying that they represent a certain basketball player. 6 different people. Yeah, I represent so-and-so. If you can get him $1.8 million, he'll come there tomorrow. The poor kid had no idea that these people are calling on their behalf half the time. So transparency would be nice.
I think what you heard here is why we need a governance structure. Can you imagine if you were here listening to what happened and how you're running an enterprise based on chaos? That's exactly what's taking place right now. We have no structure. We have, regardless of whether it be transparency, governance, we had a structure in the lawsuit that settled a settlement of 20.5 that we thought, okay, we can live within this structure. Plaintiff attorneys just sued yesterday that was bogus and they want more money coming into the system. We are capitulating to lawyers. Plaintiff lawyers come in constantly and they come and sue constantly, and we have no chance for us to ever get any structure. So what keeps you up at night is exactly what you just heard from these individuals that are doing an amazing job on their campus. And you're going to get fired up because we lost a kid. What happened here? Your passion is about your school, and all of a sudden you're asking us to lead an enterprise that has no structure right now. And we feel it every single night. You're at home going, how am I going to make this work? Because our fan base is losing their mind over this. Or do they really want to support this? They love their school. They love the institution. I thought what Buddy said earlier too, we have 138 teams for 12 spots. The NFL has 32 teams for, is it 14 playoff spots, I believe, or is it 16?
14.
So 50% of their teams make the playoff. What happens to the bowl games moving forward? It's playoff or bust. You lose a regular season game, 1 or 2 games. We lost 3 games this year. We won 7 in a row. We were smoking hot. We were on the outside looking in. We went, played a bowl game against Michigan, great game. Our fans were not enthusiastic about that because you didn't make the playoff. So we're in this issue. If we don't get any type of governance structure, whether it be agent structure, transfer structure, and Verge said it best, we did it to ourselves. We did it to ourselves, and now we're sitting here trying to say, guys, we need help. And that's the problem, right? We're our own worst enemy.
The governance and structure is obviously the most important thing. I guess when I think about this question, I selfishly answered it like, as this business gets richer, I would love to implement a rule that said anything we spend on revenue share or NIL, we have to invest that much back into either the student athlete experience or into the fan experience. Because I don't know that for sure our product has gotten incrementally better over the years, and I think it would be awesome for our fans, and what makes college football incredible is to continue to invest millions and millions of dollars into what fans experience on Saturdays.
Great. Well, I think that will be it for the prepared questions. Now we get to the fun part, which is the audience questions. We're going to go turn it over to Sean McCrory, Editor-in-Chief of the Houston Business Journal, who will help us guide us through those.
All right, thanks. And for being out in the audience, this is the best panel ever. I just want to say y'all been fantastic, so thank you. So the first question I have for the panel, given recent gains in viewership and sponsorships, do you expect women's sports to keep rising financially? Why or why not? And that's from Alicia Silver. And whoever wants to start answering is free to answer.
Repeat your last part of the question.
It's, do you expect it to continue to rise financially, women's sports, why or why not?
I'll jump in. TCU is unique in that we are lopsided in terms of, I think 64% of our undergraduate enrollment is female. A rising tide lifts all ships, right? So we have a niche opportunity where we've embraced it. It's actually part of our strategic plan to invest in and improve our competitive outcomes for our young women. What I love about women's sports is it is growing in popularity, probably at a rate, even at a steeper incline than some of our men's sports, if not all of them. And it's a great era. As the father of a 22-year-old daughter, it's a great time to be raising young athletic women. We all know the great impacts that being on a team as a young person growing up has on your life. I think 60% of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies were former athletes at some point. So providing those opportunities for young ladies, investing in their sports, absolutely. Title IX is kind of left out of the conversation of all the NIL and rev share numbers. We know we're out of compliance based on Judge Wilkins' ruling in the House settlement. She kind of outlined the percentage of how to pay the back payments, and we're using that as our roadmap. But Title IX still exists, which will create great opportunities for young women. And for better or for worse, their dollars aren't as high as on the men's side, which allows us to really invest strategically to provide them great outcomes. And the competitive landscape, we were talking about women's basketball earlier. I mean, it's never been more popular, and it's not going to change.
Yeah, I think if you think about every women's sport, from volleyball, women's basketball, softball, gymnastics, they just had the national championships that were on ABC or one of them this week. Then you think about flag football, that's coming fast. So I think women's sports is still not just moving in a great direction, but more than anything else, it's for us to figure out how we continue to support them. And it's a little different. It might not be totally NIL. You'll have some individuals that will have the ability to generate some more NIL and some rev share, but I think for us, they are part of the department. And a rising tide lifts all ships. We do agree there from that standpoint that if we invest in them, for a while they were the ones leading our department with success. And so I think that, and I think every one of us have probably seen that at one point or another within our institution. So it's a critical piece and something we'll continue to support.
Chris talked about it. Chris talked about the brand, the front porch of the institution. Since 1972, men have been dropping going to college, and women has been increasing. Pretty much on all majority university campuses, except the military institutions, there's more women than men. And we have 56% women at LSU right now. When you have a person like a Kim Mulkey, it's a brand. People say, look how much you lose in women's basketball. It's true, but it's still that brand that she brings when young women want to come to LSU. If you look at gymnastics, Eddie just talked about it. We finished number 2 in the country. We're in Dallas this week. If you look at our volleyball in the SEC, where it is today, the 2 final teams in volleyball for the national championship were SEC schools. That used to be more of the Pac-12 schools on the West Coast, where women are getting more and more involved in sports, and the brand is building the brand of the whole institution. You talk about that alignment. It's more about money and finances, about the brand of the institution in the business world, because then you get more kids that apply to your institution. This year at LSU, we have 6,000 to 8,000 applications to come to the institution.
Yeah, I would just say I'm so grateful that I worked at a university that is allowing us to really invest in women's athletics and expand. When I got to Rice, we had a conversation with our board about being somewhat out of line with our percentages. And immediately the board, led by our chairman, Rob Ladd, and our president, Reggie DeRoche, hey, let's address this and let's fix it. So the first thing we did is we added diving to an incredible swimming program. Since we added diving, we've won back-to-back swimming and diving championships for those young ladies. And to see their joy of knowing that they were being invested in a very small amount in order to accomplish that, it's been phenomenal. And then we said we're going to add another sport, and we were going to do this debate. And actually here below us, here at River Oaks, I had a conversation with a great former student athlete at Rice, that Miss Lynn Elsenhans, and she said, I want to add women's golf. I said, well, we're going to do a study in this. She said, no, I don't think you understand me. We're going to add women's golf. And she said, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to endow the entire program, so I'm not going to create a mouth to feed. And so we had the largest female philanthropy gift in the history of Rice Athletics to birth a program. There are 32 Division I teams in the state of Texas. 31 of them had women's golf. Rice did not. We now we will be playing golf, women's golf, in 2026 in the fall, and we currently have the 11th ranked recruiting class in women's golf coming in. And so, and we're not done. We're exploring other opportunities, how we grow, and not necessarily trying to take away. We know that we've got to be very aggressive in our revenue sports, but to expand the offerings across the board. I'm so grateful that I work at a place and that we have donors that are supporting those endeavors.
All right, the next question I have, how much weight do relationships with local high school and club coaches carry in your recruiting decisions, and how can trainers position themselves as trusted partners rather than just talent pipelines? This question's from Hakeem Akbar with VastU.
Well, I mean, the UIL in the state of Texas reports to the University of Texas. High school athletes are our lifeblood, right? But Verge brought it up earlier. Indiana won the national championship this year with 65% transfer kids. There's a school in the state of Texas that took not one high school kid 2 years ago, all portal kids for their roster. 85 kids on that football team were from the portal. High school kids today, you recruit a high school kid, and it's based on potential. Portal kid is based on production. Right now, you look at the 4 teams that played for the semifinals this year, average 60% of that team came from the portal. The University of Texas, we're 90% high school, and we're always going to be a high school program. We firmly believe you come to the University of Texas, what starts here changes the world. We're going to recruit that, and we're going to stick to that. But you'll see, because of the fundamental change of wanting to be successful, the portal is a huge issue now for a lot of schools that's saying, if we want to win, we're going to have to do this. To answer the previous question about women's sports just for a moment, we have 21 sports at the University of Texas. My budget is $407 million, completely self-sufficient. I don't get a dime from the institution for anything. Maintenance, everything is done on ourselves. I have 2 sports that generate all the revenue on a P&L. We are providing an opportunity for unbelievable women and all of our student athletes to come off 2 sports, football and men's basketball, generate all the money. The rise of women's sports has never been more popular. But if you look at it from a business perspective, across the board, it doesn't pencil when you think, okay, how does baseball make money? Does it make a difference? And Verge said they're brand accentuators. We've won 17 national championships the last 5 years. We've won the Directors' Cup for the best athletic program in the country 4 out of 5 years. And it's been unbelievable. The success has been great, but it's off too. But if you took a CPA or you took a business person into my books, they're going to go, wait a minute. This doesn't add. And the rise of television has been phenomenal. The viewership for gymnastics has been great, yet they have yet to figure out how to monetize that yet. That's right. You saw the CBA with the WNBA. How are they monetizing that yet? The viewership is there. The monetization hasn't caught up yet, right? When that does, you'll see it really cooking with gas. The greatest thing that's ever happened to college athletics is Title IX. Greatest thing, because it provided opportunities for women. The problem was it was fundamentally flawed in the way it was funded, because back in the day it was set up, you must provide this opportunity, and it created scholarship limits. So all of a sudden they said football went from unlimited scholarships to a cap. Well, now this past lawsuit, they said in baseball you only had 11 scholarships for 35 guys. Now they said, nope, you can have a roster limit. You can give scholarships to your roster limit. We have 523 student athletes at the University of Texas. Every single student athlete's on a full ride down. We have no walk-ons. So all of a sudden, where's the competition going to come? If you don't go to full rides across your rosters, I'm going to go get them. And the portal's there. Right? And my responsibility is the University of Texas, and that puts huge pressure on everybody else, because then their coaches are saying, wait a minute, you're doing this. So it is ever-changing, and women's sports are rising unbelievably well. But the finances of a strain on an institution are real now, guys, because if you don't have $20.5 million to provide for your student athletes, if you're relying on institutional support to run your athletic program, at some point in time, they're going to say, wait a minute, where's our investment here? And that pressure is coming, because we have no regulation. And that pressure is going to come, hell is coming in the handbasket quick if we don't get a hold of this.
And that's coming from a guy with a $400 million budget. Sincerely, I mean, you think about it. It's whether you think you've got enough with $50 million to make it ends meet or 400, you don't. And it's genuine to provide the type of experience that your kids deserve. And I think there was part of the question that talked about club coaches. Our business is unique in that each sport, each of his 21, each of our 18, distinctly different, right? So volleyball and soccer, it's a big club world. Like what you do on your high school soccer team today or your high school volleyball team really doesn't matter nearly as much as your club competition. It gives you an opportunity to play with other really high achiever kids. Whereas, baseball in the north, you might look at high school, but in the south, you're probably looking at showcases and different things. So those are all very unique and to a sport by sport.
All right, the next question comes from a student, Anthony Rivera. When you all were first starting out, what was the mindset that kept you moving forward, and how has that mindset evolved now that you've reached this level in sports business?
I'll take that one since he's going to be an LSU Tiger. When I first started, I started in academics, and I thought, you bring young people into an institution, and Blake Fertitta was one of my interns at LSU, and every year I took interns in my area. And I used to ask them, why do you want to get involved with college sports? Why do you want to get involved with college athletics? And they always tell me they just love it, they're a fan. I grew up in it. My parents brought me to games when I was younger. But the reason we got into this business, and you've heard this by all the people talking up here, is that we wanted young people to make them better. Make them better young people, young men and young women, educate them, and they go back to their communities and their states and be great citizens. And we talked about all these problems, these issues in the NIL and all that part, and that's what scares me today, where we are. The support that we don't talk about is the mental health. And it's a part that we've left off, and now it's raising its head. The mental health of these young men and women, 18 to 20 years old, who are making this income, and what's going to happen when they have to go back into the regular world, what's going to happen when they hadn't paid their taxes on the proceeds that they received. We've seen in the pro sports, the suicides of late guys in the NFL and in other sports. And that's the thing that keeps me up at night. Somebody said, keep me at night. That's what keeps me up at night, because I'm worried about what's going to happen to those young people and the pressure they have on them. Not only the pressure they put on themselves, but the pressure that their families put on them. Like I said, we didn't realize who we were recruiting, a lot of us on our campuses, and where they come from, the tough socioeconomic backgrounds they come from. And now you have fathers and mothers. You talked about trainers. The trainers are part of the agent problem now also, and putting pressure on these young people to transfer, get in the portal. Chris talked about the amount of money that an agent gets, 20% on something. These kids are paying 15 to 20% on the NIL deals. I mean, 15 to 20%. Pro sports is 3 to 4 to 5. And that's the part that keeps us at night, and the part that, as an administrator, when I look back at it, I want to make sure that these young men and women leave our institutions healthy and healthy mentally.
I think we all got in this because we were connected somehow to sports in some way, but we saw it as an opportunity for us to give back and honestly make something of ourselves at the time. And as we've gone through this journey, I think every one of us that we've talked about, it's evolved. We've all grown. We've all learned. I remember sitting in rooms when I was a young administrator, and Chris was AD at Rice, and listening to him, what it took to be sitting in the chair. And then as we've kind of continued to evolve in our career, we start realizing that, as we said, the fundamentals are still the same. Where we started and what we're doing every day is still trying to make an impact on the student athletes and on those that we touch. We're in a customer service industry. Everything we do is to try to support our donors, our fans, our university, our student athletes. But where we are today, what makes me reflect and appreciate the journey is, more than anything else, it is the people that we've met along the way and how we've been able to get to where we are because of those relationships. And so we've come a long way. It's been a lot. I thought when I was going to become an AD, it was going to be like the old school way, where when we saw ADs that were old coaches and stuff like that. This is a business now, and if you did your due diligence as you came up the route in this journey, you're better prepared today. And so for myself, we've changed, we've evolved, but we had to be nimble to be able to do that. And so it's been a great journey, but it's been a fun ride more than anything else.
You know, I'll just comment because my mindset when I first started was panic. You know, I'm an outlier in that, you know, I chased minor league baseball for a long time. So my first job in college athletics, I was 34 years old with a mortgage, a wife, 2 young children. I didn't strategically choose to get on this path. I needed a frickin' job quickly. But what's unique is the reason my career ended, I had Tommy John surgery. And so I use that as a unique vessel and an opportunity to talk to our young people because we tell them all the time, hey, sooner or later, whether you're Earl Campbell, LaDainian Tomlinson, or Joe Burrow, your career is going to end. And when that happens, whether you've got 13 figures saved in your bank account or not, you need to do something with your time and your energy and your passion. And so, you know, I use that as a speaking point to say, you don't need to know what you want to do when you're 26, but you need to have a passion for something. And I was fortunate that my panic turned into a realization that I could make a living doing this and feel really blessed to have done it. But there's a lot of different ways to get to where you want to end up.
Well, this will be the last question that we have time for. What unique strategies are you using to bring more fans and alumni to your games to elevate the game day experience and attract more donor engagement? This is from Ross Fleury and Luis Garcia with Game Day Private Jets.
If you had Aggie do that.
You would ask that question.
I think for me, one thing I've asked our staff to really focus on, with how easy it is to watch our games on television, continue to think and invest our marketing dollars into the wow moments that a fan experiences at a game, the moments that make somebody feel like they couldn't have experienced that from their couch. So I think when we approach our game day experience and where we're going to buy high dollar things versus not high dollar things, we want to invest in things that lead to wins. We want to invest in things that lead to revenue, but we want to also invest in things that lead to fans leaving like they experienced something they couldn't have experienced if they weren't there in person. And I think the community that you experience, you know, at Kyle Field with 102,000 fans, you know, is just something that's so unique that you can't get elsewhere.
I'm a big fan of R&D, rip off and duplicate. I'm not joking. I'm serious. I'll go to games. I'll get out there 5 hours before a game. I'll bring our whole team. We got a pads. I said, okay, you go listen to their music. You go check their food out. You check concessions. I walk the parking lots and we take notes and we come back and say, what do they do well? What do they did not do well? And then we'll incorporate into what we do. I sent a whole group to Disney. I said, you guys get out there, come back and tell me what they do. Because you think about it, you all been to Disney to get the tickets, your kids get there, you're sitting in that damn line for 3 hours. They got more going around you. Then you get on the ride and then you get home, you're wore out and your kids are, that was fun, can we do it again? And you're like, hell no. Then you look at the bottom of your thing, you just spent $2,000 that day, right? I mean, so constantly figuring out things. You come to our games now, we have a thing called Bevo Boulevard. I went to the Midway at the State Fair. We have a whole State Fair, rides, everything cooking out there. Free concerts, food trucks, it's bananas. Because we're asking people to spend their discretionary income with us. It's more than the game. You're asking people now that work their ass off to come and spend their discretionary income with you. You better provide an unbelievable opportunity. So when they go home at night, they take the last drag of that cigarette and they're completely satisfied. You understand the concept? That's what you better do, because at the end of the day, you're going to lose that customer if it's about wins and losses. So I try everything. I mean, it don't make a difference. I sent a group to the Spokane Art Festival. They said, what the hell are you talking about? Just get up there, see what they do. There's a 3-on-3 tournament. I used to work with Mike Padet at Rice, and he went on to runs the alumni. So I follow his Twitter account. That fool has all kinds of going on everywhere. And I'm like, all right, try that. You just constantly steal ideas from everybody because you never know what's taking place somewhere. Right? And you sit there, and I'm not joking. The pros do an amazing job. But if you don't do those things and make it about the customer and what you do at A&M, I can't steal half the stuff because you guys are germane to the core. But you guys do a lot. But it is awesome what you're doing. Except, by the way, we played them 2 years ago. We rolled in, and they had a damn steer roasting on a pit. right in front of the damn stadium. And they have RC with a chainsaw, and he's sawing the damn thing off. I'm like, Coach. Luckily, we win the game, and we were on the way home, and I text RC, I see you're proficient with a chainsaw, my boy. I mean, who does that? These guys, that's entertainment, cutting out the horn. We're not duplicating that, or I'm not putting a dog on a spit. However, it is pretty funny.
No, that's how we talk to each other too, like Chris talked.
Yeah, this is every day.
You know,
So to that point,
it's so funny though that, you know, I go to an NBA game or a major league event, and we go. He's right. We try to copy things, and like, okay, that's exciting there. But you also have to realize too, we have a different balancing act than professional sports. We have what we call the traditions, and those donors from 65 to 85 who sitting in their suites or sitting in their seats, and you play the rap music. And we don't like that song. What's that song? So you're always trying to get the songs that make them feel good about themselves. And go back to our traditions. They want to hear the band. They don't want to hear the piped-in music. Our team and our players like the piped-in music. And usually we try to do it for the players on the field. So on Monday mornings, you get those calls about, you know, I don't like the music. The music's too loud. Turn the mic from my set. I don't want to DJ in the stadium anymore. Now we're trying to do DJs and things like that to keep the younger generation, keep the younger crowd. And you have to talk to the older crowd and the older about the ones who like the tradition, how you keep your traditions, but also bringing the new fan base and the younger fan base.
All right.
All right, well, unfortunately, as I mentioned, that's all the time we have today. We truly appreciate the thoughtfulness you brought to the discussion. Please join me in thanking Chandler and our outstanding panelists for sharing their time, insight, and journey with us today. As we wrap up, just a few quick reminders. We'll be featuring a full recap of today's discussion in the May 1st issue of the Houston Business Journal, so be sure to look for that. And as you saw earlier, we're excited to be launching our new podcast, HBJ On the Record, where you'll continue these conversations with leaders across Houston's business community. Before you head out, also take a moment to scan the QR codes on the screen where you can learn more about our upcoming events, submit nominations for our awards programs, and take advantage of a special subscription offer available today only. We truly appreciate your time and your continued support of the Houston Business Journal. Have a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you again soon.